Welcome to technically now the 101st uh, live video. The 100th live video was a great practice run, and then two of my three children came into the backyard while I was doing this, and they did not understand my motions to go back in the house. So we're going to try again. Lord Jesus, clear, like, just help me focus. I pray that you increase. I pray that I decrease. And I just pray that this video would honor you. Be with me as I speak. Father, please give me the words that you want me to say. There has been a lot happening in the life of Sam Evans. I went to camp at the beginning of the summer with my daughters. It happened to be the week of Clint's rebirth day. That's what we're calling it, their daddy's rebirth day. And I learned at camp that I am not a great participant. That when it comes to ministry, I would much rather be in leadership, and I do much better in leadership. I had great reasons for stepping down from ministry leadership and for not speaking for a year and a half or so, or whatever that was. My husband passed away, right? And I got a new job, and I was momming double time and working full time, and I moved to a new city and bought a new house. So there were plenty of reasons for me to take a Sabbath from speaking and writing books. I didn't actually break from writing books, but from speaking. But as I sat there at the camp, I missed speaking, and I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to go out publicly again and share my story. And as I spoke to some pastors at the camp, they talked about how they didn't feel like there were great opportunities for people grieving the loss of a loved one in their community to facilitate that loss. There weren't many opportunities for support groups or networks. And so we started dreaming together about what that could look like. And out of that conversation came the You Are Not Alone Grief Retreat. And so I will be speaking in Hutchinson for the weekend on August 27th and 28th, and leading people in a seminar, a retreat, who've lost a spouse, lost a child, lost someone close to them, and even singles who've lost a pet during COVID have really struggled because the pet was their person, right? And so this retreat is for people who have suffered a loss and who are struggling to work through the grieving process, or who just maybe want to meet someone else who has not the same story, because none of our stories are the same. None of our losses are the same, but to meet other people who have experienced similar pain. And as I spoke with the speaker at camp, he said, "Sam, you're a wounded healer." And I said, "Doc O," David Olshine is his name. I said, "What do you mean by that?" He said, Henry Nouwen talks about wounded healers, people who have something tragic happen to them and then speak and teach and love through that tragedy to help other people. And as he spoke, I finally understood a verse in the Bible that I've always despised. And after I understood the verse, I despised it even more. Philippians 1:29 says, Paul is talking to the Philippians, and he says, "For it has been granted to me on behalf of Christ, not only to believe on him, but also to suffer for him." And I finally got it. That is, I get to suffer for Jesus. Yay. But that is what my ministry has become. Love letters to miscarriage moms. And this new book that I have coming out, The Rocky Path of Mourning. Though these books are things that help other people who have gone through similar losses. Now, let me explain to you kind of the background of publishing. the first thing you do is you write a proposal. And before you even write a book, you write a proposal, because the proposal shapes the chapters in the book and the purpose of the book. And so if you start going off on a rabbit trail, you can look back at the proposal and say, no, this is kind of what I need to be focusing on. So you write the proposal, then you write the book. Then you find an editor or publisher willing to publish your book. And then you publish the book. Then you plan a retreat and you promote your book, or you promote your ministry, whatever that looks like. So much to my editor's dismay, I have an editor publisher for Love Letters to Miscarriage Moms. And after this conversation I had with pastors at camp, I called her and I said, hey, I am leading a retreat. Do you know what would be great for this retreat? If we wrote a book about mourning. So this is me. Like, if you know me, you get it, right? I write books by accident, and I do things backwards, and it always seems to work out for me, but this is how it happened. So I planned the retreat, and then I said, hey, a book would be a great idea. And then I talked to the editor, and there's no proposal. We skipped that piece. But we decided, like, hey, let's try for this book. Unfortunately, the rocky path of mourning, navigating the death of a loved one, would not have been ready in time for the retreat. If something is worth doing, it's worth doing well. And the content of the book really impressed my editor. But she said, we're not going to have time to get that done for your retreat. So let's do a journal instead. So basically, I have the rocky path of mourning, a retreat journal. And this retreat journal is going to be ready in time for August 27th and 28th. What it is basically like the workbook for the retreat. There are places in the journal to take notes for the speaker. There are places where it has small group discussion questions right in the book. And then there are journal prompts for the end of each session, so you can process what you've learned on the retreat. And then there are also 31 journal prompts after that. And the idea with that is that you can keep writing, keep going after you've left the retreat. But then everything you learn on the retreat, everything you process kind of stays together in one place. And we didn't want to name it, I didn't want to name it 31-day journal, because with grief, I learned that the last thing I need is more pressure to finish something in 31 days or finish something in a certain amount of time, or pressure at all. I don't like pressure right now. So these deadlines are amazing. But we decided to name the journal the As Many Days as It Takes journal. So there are 31 prompts, but if it takes you 6 years to finish your grief journal, it takes you 6 years. But the idea is that you get to see how you've progressed in your grief. You get to see how you've changed as a person as time goes on. Grief is a long, long process, and we become new people before and after someone dies. There's a shift in who we are. And so it's very important in the cloudiness of grief to be able to go back and look at things that have happened or taken place, or thoughts that we had during the fog of grief, because we can see, hey, I really was alive. I really was living when this tragedy happened. And I feel like these years just flew by without anything happening. I was yet alive in the midst of my grief. And you can see how you learned. And so that is kind of the idea for the journal. And I'm super excited about it. We are close. And the cool thing is, we are pushing. We're really hoping. But we think that Love Letters to Miscarriage Moms will also be available in time for the retreat. So I have 2 books coming out in the next few weeks. I have the Rocky Path of Mourning Retreat Journal. The Rocky Path of Mourning will come out later, sometime this fall or December possibly, and don't quote me on that because editing just takes time sometimes. But we have the retreat journal coming up. And then we also have Love Letters to Miscarriage Moms, I'm getting emails like already this morning about things that I need to put in there because we are going to be doing the proof copy any day now. So rejoice with me. Like, this has been a long process. COVID derailed a ton of stuff, but things are happening. God is moving, God is working. And I am looking forward to being able to minister to and be ministered by people who have gone through similar circumstances. And we can kind of come together and talk about what God is doing despite our grief, and how we see God moving in the darkness of our grief. So that's something that I am really, really looking forward to. Later today, I will be attending a football game. Uh, Last week, a football teammate of Clint's called and said, "Hey, we want to honor Clint at this football game. Can you be there?" So I get to do that today, and I get to thank the football players for how they ministered to Clint during his cancer battle. That's going to be really beautiful and really hard. I'm hoping to have some of that recorded on Facebook Live, but I don't know if I will have a chance to do that. So, um, but you can pray for me because that is going to be an amazing opportunity, an amazing ministry opportunity. I just want to thank you guys for your support and your love and your encouragement. And once again, if you know anyone in the Hutchinson area who has struggled with the loss of a loved one, and I would say even an hour outside, the radius of Hutchinson, have them sign up for this retreat at lovesamevans.com. The more tab, there's a speaker tab, and the registration is there. The Q&A is there. The pay here is there. Register here has an exclamation mark. Pay here has a period because it's not as exciting to pay for a retreat. But I promise that everything is going to be really worth it. You can also hear the audio of the interview that I did for the radio in Hutchinson right there on lovesamevans.com. So if you know anyone who's struggling with grief, August 27th and 28th, have them register at lovesamevans.com. Thank you for your support. You guys are amazing. I hope you have a blessed day.